Hello and welcome back to the Ecuador Insider Podcast. Jesse, Brandon, pleased to be with you on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, December 4th. Almost Christmas, man. You're not allowed to say Christmas anymore. Excuse me.
Says who?
Excuse me.
Who said that?
It's the holiday season, Brandon.
It's Christmas, baby. It's Christmas.
They're calling, in some parts of Europe, they're calling now Christmas, like fairs and festivals and stuff, they're calling them like holiday gatherings or something.
Wow. Well, see, now it's appropriate. Now I should tell right. Well, let's just calibrate everyone. If you're watching this here right now, we just contemplated not doing a podcast because we just talked for a long time. That if you stick around after the podcast to watch, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
a good chunk of it, most of it.
Yeah. So stick around for that because that was a long time, I think.
Yeah.
We talked, but that was enjoyable.
Yeah, probably.
But my Christmas joke is more appropriate now.
What's that? Oh,
so what do they call Santa Claus
when he fake laugh again?
You actually laughed last time.
Well, mostly because
listen. You can rationalize your laugh all you want. Tell yourself whatever story you want. Whatever story you would like to tell yourself about your authentic laugh, that everyone will be able to see if they stick around to the end and watch. Yeah. But what do you call Santa when he accidentally falls
Brandon.
into a lit fireplace, Jesse?
Tell me.
Crisp Kringle.
That's right.
Watch in. I'm going to put a timestamp in this moment so that you guys can see him laugh if you don't watch the rest, because he did laugh.
Right. And then you'll have to decipher. Am I laughing at
it doesn't matter.
Brandon's sense of humor?
It doesn't matter.
And how much he enjoys
does it
that kind of humor?
Why does that matter?
Or the joke?
Why does it matter?
You know, it's actually a really good point.
I know.
It doesn't matter.
I know.
If you're considering Vilcabamba, Ecuador in general, southern Ecuador, our next Vilcabamba lifestyle retreat is January 24th. It is an absolutely amazing experience. Come down, like-minded people. You're going to make lifelong friends. You're going to have a great massage. You're going to stay in a beautiful eco-resort. Immediately getting here, the layers of stress are going to dissolve. That's actually true observationally. You're going to enjoy your 9 days. It's all exclusive experience. You're going to hit all the restaurants, see all the places you want to see if you're considering this area, and you're going to get expert presentations from the leading experts around the country on literally any topic you could possibly that could possibly pertain to your relocation and setting up your life here. So we'd love to see you. Anything to add?
Man, it's clean air, clean water, clean food, amazing community, awesome culture. It's a vacation, a learning experience, and an adventure all in one. Come on down. We'd love to see you. Click the link in the description below.
So.
Well, wait. One more thing, please. If you're watching this, guys, and you're not subscribed to the channel, take a second, go subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video. You're going to love it. We know you're going to love it because you sought extra horse therapy this week. I know you did. Your therapist told me, Mr. Ed. Yes, he did. The talking horse. If you're too young to understand that reference, I'm not even sure why you're watching this, but if you are, stick around to the end because we talk about some interesting things that may pertain to your life. But subscribe to the channel, like the video. We appreciate it, guys.
Okay, so this gentleman, his name is Ryan. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Luelf. Who had come, and I guess he'd been interested in Vilcabamba, and he came and spent some time here with his family, and ultimately decided to move here. Not somebody that I knew. He made a Facebook post that I thought just encapsulated very well, just nailed it basically on why you might be interested in living here, what this place is, what it offers. So I just want to run through that real quick. So it's a really good post. It's titled 20 Reasons We Are Moving to Vilcabamba, Ecuador. Then it has some of the most stunning images I've ever seen. But number one, the energy of the valley is different. People don't just like Vilcabamba, they feel it. The valley has a distinct, grounded, peaceful, rejuvenating energy. Many say it feels like your nervous system finally exhales. It is known as the, quote, Valley of Longevity for a reason. Number two, perfect weather year-round. 70s and low 80s almost every day, cool mornings, warm days, no harsh winters, no oppressive heat. It's like choosing, quote, permanent spring as your climate. Number 3, clean air, clean water, clean food. I feel like I wrote this, but I did not. No pollution. Mountain spring water that tastes different. Abundant organic fruits, vegetables, and local farms. Your body literally starts feeling better within weeks. And we see that all the time. I mean, I just was talking to retreat participants from our last retreat who are dying to get back here, and they were just commenting on what they're able to eat and feel good when they're here and how they feel when they're here. This is something we just see all the time. Number 4, extremely affordable living. Many expats live comfortably on $1,500 to $2,500 per month, including rent, food, transportation, leisure, maid/gardening help. A high-quality lifestyle becomes accessible without stress or hustle. Number 5, stress dissolves. Pace of life changes you. Vilcabamba forces you to slow down, breathe, unplug, stop performing. You don't realize how fast your nervous system is running in the U.S. until it stops. That's a very profound and accurate statement. Number 6, strong expat community. Entrepreneurs, healers, digital nomads, homesteaders, off-grid builders. You meet people who actually get it. Everyone is shaking off the noise, rewriting their life, and building something peaceful and aligned. Number 7, natural medicine, holistic living, and alternative healing. It's a hub for plant medicine, herbal remedies, energy work, breath work, longevity practices. If you're into inner healing, spiritual work, or physical regeneration, this place supports it. Number 8, no property taxes on rural land. That is not true. Well, it's almost true, actually, as he clarifies. If you buy outside city limits, which actually is true also in the city, many properties have no annual property tax or extremely low. Yeah, they do. There is an annual property tax, but it is, he used $40 to $100 a year. You could say $10 to a few $100s a year is a typical property tax here. But there is no capital gains tax on sales of rural properties, which he may have been mixing the two, which is a tremendous benefit.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit.
Yeah. Number 9, affordable land and construction. You can still buy acres of mountain or valley land, riverfront land, farmland, beautiful views for a fraction of U.S. prices. Construction is also dramatically cheaper. 10, less government control and more autonomy. Many people move because they want fewer rules, fewer restrictions, less surveillance. You can create an autonomous life here. Number 11, simpler food equals better health. Fresh fruit, local farms, grass-fed beef, pasture-raised eggs, no chemicals, no seed oils, no processed food everywhere. People lose weight, feel younger, sleep better, and think clearer. Number 12, people come to heal, grow, transform. This place attracts people who are actively unlearning old stories, leaving burnout behind, healing trauma, breaking generational patterns, returning to presence. It's a place for transformation. Number 13, no hustle culture. No pressure to keep up, compete, constantly perform, grind every day, measure your worth by productivity. You remember who you actually are without thousands of external inputs. 14.
He's nailing it.
He nails it.
Yeah.
Safe, quiet, private. Crime is extremely low. People look out for each other. It still feels like a small town where kids can play outside and neighbors wave at you. Number 15. Small but vibrant town life. Vilcabamba has cafes, organic markets, restaurants, smoothie shops, yoga studios, live music, boutique hotels without the overwhelm of a big city. 16. Great internet for working remotely. Fiber optic is available in many areas. Digital nomads can work easily. 17. Community of self-reliant, like-minded people. People grow food, build off-grid homes, co-create eco-villages, support each other, and live intentionally. It's not a place where you're judged for being different. It's a place where you're celebrated for it. Number 18, freedom for families. Kids get to play outside, climb trees, live slow, be creative, learn from nature, avoid the overstimulation of U.S. culture. Many parents move here for this alone. 19, nature everywhere. Mountains, rivers, waterfalls, hiking, wildlife. Everywhere you look reminds you of what actually matters. 20, it pulls you back to your true self. People move to Vilcabamba for one main reason, to remember who they are. You start living from peace, presence, and clarity, not pressure, performance, or proving. It's a place that naturally supports the shift from a world full of noise, stress, and survival into a world filled with ease, clarity, and inner power. Environment matters. That's it. So yeah, I thought that was exceptionally accurate and well done.
Well done.
And really says better than I could have said what this place is and what's here and why and all that. So
Yeah, like if you're looking for that, it's here to contribute to absorb, and yeah, it can be magical for the right people, man. I still firmly and wholeheartedly believe that Ecuador, and specifically this region of Ecuador, is not for everybody. It's not for most people, for many different reasons that I'm not going to go into. But if it does call you, if you do yearn for that or feel that draw and kind of resonate with those values, man, it can be magic.
I had another experience at the pool that made me appreciate this place. So a couple weeks ago, I was sharing where, there was a huge rainstorm and not a single person got out of the pool worried about thunder and lightning or anything. So I was back there recently, and there's this waterfall. There's fake waterfall, of course, that's built above the pool. And, it's built out of rock and mostly looks like concrete, probably. Yeah, it has to be concrete and rock, basically.
Periso or Molino Chapa?
Yeah.
Molino Chapa.
And, it's built out of rock and concrete. It's above the pool. It's not supposed, there's no, it's not something you're supposed to climb on or anything like that.
Yeah.
And, the kids spent hours climbing up onto this waterfall and then jumping into the pool. The pool's not deep. It's not there's no diving board. It's not meant for diving, any of that. And, there's plenty of people there. Not only did no one say anything, I promise you there wasn't a single person there that had the thought to say anything.
That's funny.
Not a parent, not a worker, not an owner, nothing.
It's great.
It's just kids being kids, having fun. And that, for me, like personally, that is, and there's a lot of reasons why I absolutely love this place and I live here, but that for me is one of the big ones, is just the relaxed nature of the culture and of the people, where we've gone back to, which never left here, but we've gone back to just common sense living. Like, everyone, it's okay if kids are jumping into a pool. We don't need to have, people freaking out and yelling at each other and lawsuits and problems and rules and, rules about everything and blah, blah, blah. We just don't have any of that here. We've gone, it's a place where you just live your life and everyone just lives their life and everyone's relaxed about everything. And I can't tell you what a joy it is if you're wired like I am and you didn't enjoy, all the rules and regulations and the proper way to do everything and it has to be this way. And, if you don't enjoy all that crap, like, this place doesn't have it, which is, for me, is awesome.
Yeah, it's rewarding. It's like, I think when you're living in the West and you're living in that culture, you normalize the stressors, you normalize the regulations, expectations, the keeping up with the Joneses, the manicuring lawns and the expectations, and this, you like, that becomes normal, which is fine for some people, and it's fine for maybe a lot of people. But when you experience something different, that's when you realize, that's when you have the true comparison of, like, whoa, like you talked about, like the layers of stress just, falling off, because you're like, wow, why am I worried about getting somebody wet at the pool? Now, listen, there's a fine line of, if your kid's being obnoxious and just splashing somebody in the face, like, obviously we're not talking about that, but some
Which no
kids
one's
are
like that here.
Right, but if a kid jumps in the pool and the splashes someone that's sitting at the pool and they get wet, like, wow, it's not the end of the world, right? And why should I care? Why should that, like,
just all the safety stuff. It's like,
yeah,
we act in back home as if if we don't have safety procedures for everything, we're all gonna die instantly. And it's people, every life form on Earth wants to survive.
Right.
No, like people do have common sense. Like kids understand danger more and more, of course, as they get older. You know, I'm not saying you have your 2-year-old walk next to a cliff, but but people understand danger. When you take all that out and you just let people be, it works completely fine.
Right.
There's no issue. Like there's no issues. So,
yeah, dude, and you see plenty of examples of the opposite, and it kind of goes to some of the concepts we talked about later, if you stick around and watch, where when you try and compel, the result is you repel. You know, like when and it's the same thing. So like, and a perfect example is driving distracted. Yeah, they're in general the roads in Ecuador aren't as good as where I'm from in the States in general. Like the main highways are good, and they have, you know, reflectors and curbs and lines and yada yada. Yeah, most of them like that. The main ones are good.
and parts that are just missing that you,
Right,
you can,
right. But there are lots of parts where the roads aren't as good, and there's potholes, and there's pigs running out, or a donkey, or a horse, or there are no sidewalks, so people are walking, right? So, so from that perspective, they would be unsafe. There should be more regulation. There should be blah, blah, blah. Well, I still don't know if I've seen an accident here. I still don't see, I see people, because they're not forced to like do the thing that way.
right.
They're inherently, to your point, more safe driver. They're more aware driving. They're aware of their surroundings. They're paying attention for the donkey or the horse or the chicken or the person or the pothole or the road collapsing or the landslide.
Right.
They're paying attention to that. In the States, we've got so much regulation and so many controls and stoplights and signals and timers and signs that people aren't even paying attention anymore. Now they're on their phones, and now half of them their cars are driving for them.
Yeah.
I mean, not half of them, but you get the point, right?
That's-
And guess what you get? I just saw a 50-car pileup.
Right.
Like how?
Right, because
know?
it turns you into a drone.
Right, yeah.
Like when you take the personal responsibility out of life and everything is just relying on a system, it turns you into a drone. It goes back to what you were talking about earlier / later, where you know critical thought, right? Critical thought has been removed based on just trusting what's been taught. It's the same kind of thing. It's like personal autonomy has been removed and personal responsibility has been removed because everything's so regulated and you know, everything is so regulated, but there's another word. But you know, everything is so set up through the system that you're supposed to rely on everything to tell you how to do everything and make decisions for you, and you know, the system's gonna create your safety, not you.
Right.
And the system's gonna create your retirement, not you. And the system's gonna create your health outcomes, not you. And you know, all this kind of stuff that that it just makes you basically into a drone. And then when you have to operate and you have to avoid an accident or you have to, you know, make sure you're safe in a situation, you don't know how because you're not used to doing that for yourself.
Right. You know, we were watching, was it Monday? We were watching the Bears-Eagles game last week. Right. It reminded me of this when you talk about health outcomes, because I think this is one of those things that we're going to look back on as a society and be like, how stupid are we really? How stupid are we? Like, we don't watch TV, like TV shows and commercials anymore, right?
Right.
But then we had our family Thanksgiving and doing the Thanksgiving dinner, and the Bears and the Eagles are playing, which, you know, Jesse thought the Eagles were going to win, and they got dragged, embarrassed, humiliated, dominated. The Bears just crushed their souls the entire game, which was awesome. But what was interesting to me, in which the part that I think is like, how stupid are we, was almost every commercial that we saw was like a pharmaceutical ad.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so I've not paid attention as much as we have, but it was unbelievable how it's all like happy, we're going to do all these things. And then they're literally telling you either verbally in words or on the screen or both, this will help reduce cancer, but it may cause cancer, it may cause inflammation, it may cause your leg to fall off, it may cause this. If you have trouble breathing or stop breathing, call your doctor. If your heart palpitates, like all the over and over and over, like every one of these, I'm like, they're advertising it to people to fix these things while simultaneously telling them that it's likely going to cause all these other things, or it can, but try it anyway. Talk to your doctor about it. Like, it's an advertisement for a drug, like,
Right.
for your health.
Do you have itchy skin? Side effects, death.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and like how many countries, we're the leader of the free world in the United States. That's what we claim, right? How many countries have direct-to-consumer pharmaceutical drug marketing,
Right.
advertising?
I mean,
I don't know how many. There can't be very many that do that.
I mean, just the idea behind that bothers me, right? It's sort of this idea that God didn't make you properly. There's something wrong with you, and you need to take pills to fix you.
Yeah.
Just that on it, like, we weren't designed improperly. Like, we weren't designed
design.
to not have health while we're alive. Like, to not. If you don't have health, which we've all had we've all had struggles with health because our world is so crazy, right? But if you don't have health, if your health is out of balance, there's a reason why. And just fundamentally the idea that you're not supposed to look for the reason why. You're supposed to fix it through, some kind of pill or whatever. Just does not appeal to me on its, on its face.
I just asked ChatGPT because I was curious what it would say.
Yeah.
It said, or no, this is Grok. I asked Grok. Grok said, direct-to-consumer advertising of prescription pharmaceuticals on television, where companies promote specific drugs directly to the public, is permitted in only 2 countries, the United States and New Zealand. This is a long-standing global norm, with most nations, including those in the EU, Canada, and Australia, prohibiting it for prescription meds to avoid influencing patients unduly or overwhelming healthcare systems. Over-the-counter drugs like pain relievers can be advertised more broadly, but pharmaceutical prescription drugs in this context are only allowed to be direct-to-consumer advertised in the United States and New Zealand. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
Like, why is that a thing? Like, that should, if you're watching this and you didn't know that, that should blow the top off, blow your mind, make you think, like, what the hell? Why is this a thing? Like, that's how programmed it is, man. Oh, do you have itchy skin? Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, I guess I do. Hey, Doc. Hey, Doc, I got an itch, you know?
What was that one I remember? Restless leg syndrome?
Oh, right. Oh, man.
No, I mean,
Wild times.
Right, we create, a totally toxic, high-stress, inhuman world, and then people are not thriving in that, and then we're like, we've got some solutions.
Right, yeah. Or you can come here. And if you want pharmaceutical drugs, you can
They're
get them.
available.
They're available over the counter.
They're available for like 3% of what you pay.
Fraction of the cost. You can.
I mean, ivermectin, which became a hot topic, it's like $5 and you get a box of them. I don't know how many. Like,
It's a fraction of the cost.
Over the counter.
Over the
almost
counter.
everything's over the counter. Almost. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally on the retreats, folks will have medications, or even when I had my parents first came and I was looking, they're on a couple medications, and I'm just like, I'll go to the pharmacy and see, and like everything's available over the counter at a fraction of the cost.
It's like cheap.
Yeah.
Like everyone I hear in the U.S. all the time, people talking about drug prices. It's a scam.
Yeah.
They use certain markets to just make the money, which the U.S. is one of those markets, and they still distribute the same drugs all over the world.
Right. Yeah, I have a buddy that he just got his new premiums. I think I shared this with you before, but he has his premiums for him and his wife and his 2 kids in the system. It's like $36,000 or $41,000 a year. I can't remember.
That is madness.
It's madness,
It's
right?
madness.
And he said something. He told me something along the lines of it wasn't him personally, but somebody he knew that I think it was either a child or a spouse. They had to call an ambulance. They didn't need. It wasn't like they just didn't know what to do. I think one of the spouse, they didn't have a car. I don't remember the situation, but they could have driven to like immediate care or to a hospital, but they didn't have it, and they were, concerned. They're like, oh, I'm just going to call. I have insurance. I'm going to call the ambulance. So they call 911. They get an ambulance. The kid or whoever goes to the whatever. Then they get a bill, and the bill, I forget what he said it was. The bill was like $1,000 or $1,500, and then he called and said, hey, like, you don't have my insurance. My wife must have not given you the insurance, or I don't know what happened. There's no insurance. So they said, oh, okay, thanks for letting us know. And the bill went up.
Yeah. Yeah.
The bill literally went up.
That's a common story these days, yeah.
It went up with his insurance. And he's like, well, wait a second. I have insurance. Like, why is it more? And he's like, well, that's a discount we give to the
who don't have insurance, yeah. That's going on all
like,
over.
What?
There's videos all over like that, all over.
Really?
Yeah. It's so this is it. They're literally just bankrupting you intentionally. Like newsflash. The hospitals now all have this policy where there's two prices. There's the insurance company price, and then there's the price if you don't have insurance. The price that you don't have insurance is much lower, and your deductible tends to be higher than the service would cost if you were paying out of pocket. So you pay the insurance company huge amounts of money, or you slave away at your job because I got to keep my health insurance.
Right.
And therefore you think you're protected from these big bills. The bills are actually less if you're paying out of pocket in many cases than the deductible is for your insurance. So
wild.
The guy that goes for the fix his finger, he broke a finger, he goes to the hospital, they wrap him up and do whatever they do. It's nothing, right? Okay, you don't have insurance. It's $200. It's $400. Whatever. Oh, you have insurance. $4,800. Oh, what's your deductible? $1,200. Like you'll spend 2-3 times in many cases on the deductible so that they can bill your insurance company, so that they can keep costs very high and just keep your standard of living low and keep you trapped in the system thinking you need health insurance. It's wild.
Wild. Super wild. Like
Yeah.
I have a couple buddies that are in medical device sales. I'm curious. I've never actually talked to them about this concept, but I'm sure they know. They have to know the inside of that business as it relates to the insurance companies, because it's probably predominantly impacts their bottom line, whether they sell products that are or are not covered by insurance. Like I would imagine there's some impact on it. I'm going to have that conversation at Christmas time, and curious.
Yeah.
I have another buddy whose wife is, I don't know if she's in accounting or finance for like one of the largest hospital conglomerates in the Midwest. So she's the one that shared some information during the COVID times about, COVID bonuses for diagnosing and hospital bonuses and all the stuff that people said was not true that is now common knowledge that happened. They incentivized. Like she's the one that gave me firsthand information back then that it was for sure happening in real time that everybody said is conspiracy theory, which, in hindsight, everybody knows now is not, or most people know now that actually happened. So I'm sure she could provide some insight into some of that might be tangible for people to help them understand the reality of living in a first world country.
In a first world country, and run.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I have people all over the political spectrum back there, but there's a lot of people that think things are going better. Things, that
They might be.
one party is making America great again, and there's people on the other side that think it's not.
Right.
That were the people that thought the opposite 3.5, a couple years ago, and so I don't know.
Right, and then there's the whole idea too that I really prescribe to, probably more than you do, or perhaps you don't at all. I don't know,
Well,
but
it might be over the counter for me. You prescribe.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. Boom.
Swing and a miss.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was a good one. I just missed it. But yeah, I guess I was swinging and missing, perhaps. But what the hell were we talking about?
Something you prescribe to.
Oh yeah. I really do believe, not maybe entirely. I think there's gradations or something on this,
Gradients.
but yeah.
Gradation? Is gradation a word? It might be. I make up words all the time.
Something along those lines. But you can kind of live in a bubble and create your own reality, even within a place that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Like I know people, I have friends and people I know in Canada and the U.S. that don't experience the effects of this the way I would think they would. Based on just who they are and the place they've gotten to in their life and their capacity to just manifest and create what they want for themselves. Yeah. And that can also work. Like, for me, it wouldn't work. It's not necessarily conducive to the lifestyle I want, right? But I have seen, anyways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about something recently.
It's good.
It's not very exciting, but I'm going to talk about it. No, but you know how there's this idea, right, of Ecuador being this poor third world country, and now crime-ridden, right? This poor crime-ridden third world country, and there's this idea I think that's really been destructive. I think that's been put into the mind of certainly from people from the U.S. I would argue Canada, Europe as well, maybe others, but certainly Hollywood. Those places.
Would Hollywood.
It might have something to do with it. Yeah. There's this idea basically that we're supposed to feel guilty about lots of things. Basically, we're amazing, but we have to feel guilty about how amazing we are, and we have to help everyone else because they're not doing good.
Do you know why? Right? Because we've been conditioned to believe that if we're guilty about it, we're a good person.
Right. Exactly. Which is such a mind F. Like, yeah. So, right, and so we have this sort of mixed thing of both a superiority complex and, oh, poor you, like we have to help, we have to help.
Right.
And so we know best, but we but we feel guilty about, our standard of living and all this. It's just, none of it's true, right? Like, just none of it's true. We don't have this amazing thing that we think is so incredible, that's so much better than everywhere else. It's just not true. And we also don't have a responsibility to feel guilty and help everyone, right? Like, both of those are not true. But we have all these images, right? So, you described something similar, but I remember the first time I really traveled in Latin America, the images in my head from Hollywood, basically from Hollywood, and a lot of that can shape your reality. It can shape what you think about people. It can shape how you interact. It can shape what you believe, all that kind of stuff. And I would argue, very strongly that the standard of living in Ecuador, as I define it, I don't mean material goods, because this culture has different values. Mm-hmm. If they have a certain amount of money, they're not going to spend it on the nicest new refrigerator. They don't have that value. Right. They're going to save it. They're going to use it for things they care about, like education or generational wealth and things like that. It's not a culture driven by consumer debt or consumer goods. Like, it's not what they're... Consumerism, right. It's not what they're into. So, which again, in my view, is better, right? That's a better cultural trait or characteristic. Anyways, so we have all these false ideas about poverty and wealth and standard of living and da-da-da-da. That's, in my view, almost all of it is just BS. It's just programming. What I've experienced over my 12 years in Ecuador, like, I don't think this is any poorer of a country in terms of it depends how you define it, right? I would say there's probably, what do they call it? Food insecurity. I would argue there's probably much more of that in the U.S. than there is here. Talk about, so it depends how you define it. Like, the savings rate here is much higher than it is in the U.S.
Yeah,
Good.
I would, with the food security one, it's a little nuanced, because I think the real food security risk, insecurity is definitely in the States, but the perception is not that.
Right.
The perception is the opposite. Like, you can, if you dive into, the consumerism in the food chains and the supply chains of food manufacturing and farming and how outsourcing, all that stuff, you can see how fragile the supply chain that supports the perception of food security in the United States, it's not congruent.
Right.
Now, when you come here, it's way simpler, it's way more organic, it's way more natural, it's way like the food security supply chain is blatantly observable in day-to-day life,
Yep.
right? It's particularly in the rural areas, but most areas, even the cities like Cuenca and Loja, you see food everywhere, growing.
Yeah.
Year round.
It's an exporter of food.
So yeah, I would agree with that. It just, I don't know, if I, until I worked in food manufacturing, if I believed that, because you drive around the Midwest and it's just fields and farms and you see soy and corn and like in my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds, you're just like, oh, we've got all the food, we could feed ourselves. Like we don't, there's no food insecurity here.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get down to the nuanced levels and you see like the supply on store shelves and how people don't have pantries or root cellars, what things cost and where it comes from and where's the source.
Right.
Like there's real, I 100% agree, there's way more food security in Ecuador.
Right. And
by leaps and bounds.
Yeah. And in a place like the States, they've just regulated it into being problematic and scarce and expensive, right? So you can't go to your there's no farm to consumer system per se, this big, but there's no real
it's niche.
Farm to consumer. You can't just go and buy your milk from the guy that has the cow.
Yeah, and even the guy that you can't, you can find those niches. Like when we were homesteading,
I mean, some places it's illegal.
You could find it, but now it's like $13 a gallon for milk. $13 a gallon to get raw milk.
Right.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so depending on how you define it, I would argue that the standard of living here or just poverty in general is not necessarily any worse. It might even be, in many ways, it could even be better than that of the U.S. Feel free to disagree. That's my perception.
Well, you have no homeless, impoverished people freezing to death in Ecuador.
Right.
Right.
No veterans starving to death on the streets.
Right.
Anyways, we could go on and on. And again, I would personally argue, climate does play a role in that for sure. Yeah. And the culture plays a role in that for sure. But I would argue another thing that plays a massive role in that is just lack of government interference in people's lives. Anyways, all of that is...
And/or incompetence.
And/or incompetence. I'll take either one.
A little of both.
Right. Yeah. But, But, something that just is interesting to me. So, Ecuador, when did the U.S. get, its massive infrastructure upgrades to the point where the whole country was accessible? The 20s, 1890? I mean, I don't know. It was 100 plus years ago, like a long time ago, right? You
mean like the interstate highways? That wasn't even that long ago.
But I mean, there was when was there good? I don't know. We'd have to look it up. When was there good roads like coast to coast in the U.S.?
Yeah, like
and trains and
like the interstate. Yeah, well, trains are a long time ago. Yeah, that was.
And airports and ports and like when did that major sort of okay, the infrastructure is solid in the country? I mean, it had to be it had to be in the late 1800s, early 1900s, something like that, right? Okay, so Ecuador had that starting basically in 2007, right? That's when that kind of started here, where Correa came in and really roads and ports and airports and internet and electricity and sewer and let's make it good, let's make it international standards. And they also dollarized, right, in 2000. And so those recent phenomenons, I just want people to understand the amount of wealth that created in this country is something I think people don't get, right? So we talked about earlier, the guy was saying, Ryan was saying, $1,500, a lot of expats, $1,500 to $2,500 a month, and they live here on that, comfortably on that budget. We'll talk about that another day, but let's just use those numbers. So he said 1,500 to 2,500, you live here comfortably as an expat on that budget. Okay, so what is that? We're talking, the low end of that range is like 20 grand or less a year. The high end of that range is 30 or whatever in the U.S. That's poverty. That's intense poverty in the
Right.
U.S. If you're making 20 to 30 grand a year, that's intense poverty. Here you're living very well. So, or you're living well. Okay, so if you take that baseline metric, right, of just something to compare it to, and you look at the wealth that was created in land ownership and property ownership amongst Ecuadorians when Ecuador first dollarized and then brought their infrastructure up to international standards, and then you take those two events and then you add to that the lack of government interference in the economy and in people's lives, and a reasonably decent tax structure, I would argue as well. People went from having properties that were priced in sucres pre-infrastructure that were worth a cow, worth a couple of cows. Like, people were trading inaccessible properties. I mean, properties that, the roads couldn't get to. There wasn't a lot of business going on. There wasn't much tourism. There wasn't foreign anything really. And so, people just lived very simple, rural, agricultural lives in most of the country, and in most of the country they still do. But the property they own, which they still all own, and they've divided up and given it to family members and, done whatever they do with it, has gone from, it was worth in 1995, they could have traded their 10 hectares for, 3 cows. I'm just using a silly example, but for 3 cows. And now those 10 hectares are worth $500,000, or now those 10 hectares are worth 150 grand, or depending where they are, $1 million. So the amount of wealth that was created in this country, and most people do own. Now, I'm not talking about the cities. I'm not talking about Guayaquil. But people in most of this country, their families go back forever, and so those families all own land. They all own land. Like, there's almost no one in Vilcabamba who wouldn't own land, like, as a local, because they're families. They all own land going all the way back. So there was just enormous amounts of wealth that was created between 2000 and 2013, something like that. And so again, you couple that with everything else we've talked about, it's very different. So I don't know if that hit home or not, but I just wanted to bring that up. Yeah.
It's interesting. As you were talking through that, and I don't know what the answer is going to be to this, but I thought we could do the math and just see. So, like, a person, you could live in this region for what, 30 grand a year?
So that's 3 a month, basically, or that's 2.5 a month or something. Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can live well. Yeah. Okay, so 30,000 a year, and minimum wage in Ecuador is what, $4.70 a month?
No, it's gone up quite a bit. I think, look it up. It's probably $600-700 now. But lots of people don't make that. But.
Well, right. We can see what the minimum wage in the United States. I'm just for.
Yeah, I can look that up real quick.
All right. No, it's $4.70.
No, that's old.
As of December 2025, monthly wage is $4.70 a month.
El salario básico en Ecuador, ¿cómo es ahora? Oh, he's agreeing with you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jesse.
I still think you're wrong, but I must be wrong.
All right. So what is that, like 6 grand a month? 5-6 grand a year.
Oh, you're right.
Okay.
$4.70.
Okay. So let's just say, $5,600 a year. All right. So minimum wage, $5,600 divided by 30,000. It's like 19% of what we're saying lives well. Minimum wage represents 19% of living well in this region. So what's a median? I don't know the answer to this is going to be. What's living well in the United States?
Oh, living well.
It's
so regionally based. From where I know of, 150 a year.
Okay, 150. You don't think more than that? You think that's living well?
Well,
I mean, what's
it
the
depends.
median?
Are we talking single, couple, family? I mean,
Or household? I don't know. Because I mean, a household.
yeah, probably, I don't know, maybe 200, yeah, 150, 200,000 at least. I don't know. I haven't lived there in a long time.
Right, right. I'm just curious because, like, all right. Uh, okay, medium U.S. household income in
Yeah.
2025 is 83. That's median. So living well is probably 200, 250.
Okay.
I would say, no?
You've been there more recently than I have.
And
I'm going.
if
I'm
the
basically.
but I mean just
Yeah.
just statistics. If the
Yeah.
median's 83,
Yeah.
medium, then let's say 200 then. I mean, I don't know what this is actually going to tell us, but let's see. What did I say? It was 19%.
Yeah.
So that's like, that would be of 250,000 times 19% is 50,000, $48,000.
Okay.
So is that minimum wage? And you know,
No.
what's annual?
I mean, there is no national minimum wage. That's the problem. So you'd have to do like an average
Right.
minimum
Yeah.
wage. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is all regional anyway.
Yeah.
Average minimum.
Yeah. This says $12 an hour
Okay.
as your average.
So
Which is, do you want to?
so even if we go to the average state minimum wage is approximately $13.50
Okay.
full hour, that's an average annual salary of 28,000.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah, it's probably a lower percentage. Or it is a lower percentage.
So what? Again, really rough. Who
Very
knows
rough,
if this
yeah,
is?
very rough.
But this would say that the minimum wage Americans are significantly poorer than the minimum wage. The
Yeah.
average minimum wage American
Yeah.
is more impoverished than the average minimum wage Ecuadorian.
Yeah.
Maybe. Again, I don't know. But really quick and dirty math.
Yep.
Based on our perspective of living well, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
meaning, you know, all right.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just interesting.
it is
that,
interesting.
You know, like,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yep. All right. That's all I got.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, stick around a little bit longer because Jesse and I talk about some really cool stuff that you might be interested in. And if you'd like to come and talk to us in person, click the link in the description below. Come visit in January. Come on the retreat. You'll have an adventure. You'll have an awesome time. You'll meet some great like-minded people. We'd love to see you down here one day.
So until then,
We'll see you next time.
take care, everyone.
Ciao, guys.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Taking this quick break to remind you, we run Vilcabamba lifestyle retreats. If you're interested in checking out this area, hanging out with us, getting all the information you could possibly want, and having a great time, check out the links below. Thanks so much. Back to the program. Gender terminology.
Are you sure he got life in prison for just that?
Check. I'm almost positive, yeah. I didn't do a deep dive or anything, but yeah, he got like, I think they gave him a court order to apologize. No, actually, that was a different one, I think. That was in England. Another guy went to jail for 2 years or something in England because he refused to apologize for misgendering someone.
I mean, it can't be real. It can't be real.
It's real. It's pretty wild.
Oh, God.
You saw Tucker Carlson tried to get Piers Morgan to say faggot.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
But he wouldn't.
I know, that was I was pretty entertained by that. I saw Milo was on.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in years.
I've kind of seen some of his stuff. I've stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you hear him now, like saying, like,
Yeah,
I'm
did.
not gay.
Yeah, he said.
Nobody's gay.
Yeah, and he
like,
said it's right. He said it's
trauma-based
Yes.
reaction. Yeah, it's
Really,
it's interesting.
It was interesting.
What do you got? Life in prison?
Supposedly.
In prison for what?
Has like something to do with standing on his religious beliefs of not using not proper, but using, the pronouns they want him to use or something like that. I didn't look into it deeply.
Okay, so it says no one recently received a life sentence for refusing to use pronouns. However,
In Ireland.
However, there is a reference to the ongoing high-profile case of Enoch Burke,
I think that's it.
a Christian teacher who has
that
been
might have been a different
repeatedly
one.
imprisoned
Yeah.
for contempt of court after defying orders
that
to
England
stay
or
away from
Ireland?
his school amid a dispute over using transgender students' preferred pronouns. This has led to multiple short. Let's see, that was in 22. Burke, a history and German teacher at Wilson's Hospital School, a Church of Ireland institution in County Westmeath.
So that
Objected to using transitioning students' new pronoun and name, citing his evangelical Christian beliefs that gender is binary and immutable per scripture. So the school suspended him, and a court issued an injunction barring him from the premises during disciplinary proceedings. He's violated the injunction by showing up at the school, leading to contempt rulings and jail time.
Oh, here, hold on. That's a different one. That one was the other one, which I thought that was in England, but that was in Ireland also. Here, look, I got this here. Let me see. Oh no, sorry, that's not it. Maybe, maybe that is it.
I mean, contempt of court, stay away. Like, you won't use pronouns. You're suspended from your job, and if you go near the school, it's still wild, man. Like any of these things these days, it's like everything. It's like they took P. Diddy's baby oil and they just squirted it all over the slope, and it's just like, take a step, here we go. Everything is a slippery slope into the pit,
Yeah.
You see the stuff? I mean, I don't even know if they're real. Do you see the pictures of him from prison?
P.
Diddy that are going
No,
around?
I haven't seen it.
Like, he has no dye anymore, so his beard and his hair is gray. Like, people are like, oh, you age. It's like, no, he's just not dying for Hollywood anymore in prison.
Right.
But he's like happy and he's smiling. Like, again, I don't know if they're real.
Yeah.
I didn't take the time to run them through AI proof, but man, there's quite a few of them there. He just looks content in prison.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what that means,
Right.
but he sure.
I mean, it's so hard to know, like, if what's real and what isn't is just, in that world, is so hard to know. Just in terms of not only like what you're looking at, but are they even actors? Are they real? Are they clones? Are they, like, it's endless layers of, are they guys in masks? Is what's his name playing? Is Matthew McConaughey playing the governor of California?
Right, Gavin Newsom, right? Man, the overlay is pretty compelling.
And there's a lot like that.
Pretty compelling.
So yeah, it was that story that you're talking about. So yeah, he wasn't sentenced to life in prison. He's indefinitely, because he's in contempt. So until he bends the knee and does what they want, he will remain in jail, is what I understand.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Well, dude, they're getting, in England, like, it's, like, literally, they're literally raiding people's houses and arresting them because they gave their opinion, and they're getting 2-year, like, multiple-year jail sentences.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Multiple-year jail sentences for saying, like, we don't agree with immigration. And they're calling it a hate crime.
Yeah, the Ireland one's a little different, though. I think the Christian, like, all right, you don't want to use the pronouns. You don't want to call the kid whatever they identify as that. Fine, so you get suspended. Okay, You're choosing to work there. They're choosing to suspend you. Okay, fine. So like his punishment from the courts is not because he wouldn't say the words. It's because he's there's an
He
injunction.
refused
he
to
can't,
accept the suspension.
Right. So
or
that's
whatever.
like for me, that one's like, dude, just don't go to the school. Like, all right, fight
Yeah,
the bet.
he's trying to make a point,
He's
obviously.
making a point, right? So then, yeah, you're held in contempt. I mean, what are you supposed to? I don't know. That one's a little different than like not being able to say a word.
Agreed.
Although I don't agree that
Of course.
that they should suspend him for that either.
Right.
I don't own the school.
When did that whole thing become a thing? It was like no one ever heard of that, and then all of a sudden it was just there's more genders, and we need to respect everyone's gender, whatever they say their gender is.
Well, a lot of it is made up, and like they believe it's real. People believe it is in psychology and science. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to humans. Made science God. Believe the science, right? So now the psychologist says, you're neurodivergent and like this explains why you meow
I mean, have you
and wear a
seen
tail.
like
I don't know, like,
seen-
and it's okay to feel that way because
it's real.
who's to say that you are not, right? Like, I mean, they do an amazing job of compelling people to rationalize whatever they want.
Yeah.
Science. Believe the science. Like, I don't know, man. I think it goes back to people replaced science with God. And over time, people and institutions and schools have stripped or dampened the environment for humans and kids particularly to think critically, and they don't know how to think critically, and they're told how not. They're almost instructed to not think critically.
Yeah. I mean,
So
that's the point.
what do you expect when they're going through normal kid stuff or normal teenage stuff or normal early adult stuff? I don't know, normal is relative, but like challenges in humans and life and ups and downs and shitty people sometimes, and how do you help them think through that critically if you've instructed them through their whole life to not do that,
Right.
and then expect them, then it's just appeal to authority, appeal to popularity, appeal to the science, appeal like there is no God, there's science, and here's rationally why it's okay to be they them and not he.
Yeah, and meanwhile, all the greatest scientists that we celebrate, all at the end of the day said, it's God.
Well, I mean, that's the funny part, right?
Yeah. Have you seen the footage? I mean, there's literally footage of officials from the government in Congress testifying, and they're like, one of the congressmen or whatever is like, can a man get pregnant? Yes.
Yeah, it's wild, right? Yeah.
Like, she's like that, the health secretary or the like, whatever. Does a man have a uterus? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, right. And then just the rationalization of, well, gender is different, right? I can't identify as a black man because it's not gender. That's right. That's different.
Right.
Well,
Right.
okay.
Those
I
are always
mean,
the
it's
best
just like,
arguments,
it just falls flat, right? So, yeah, I don't know, man.
But there, I mean, we're at the point. I mean, it goes back to, I'm sure you read 1984, right? It's like
There's a lot of that, yeah.
it's that level. Like, we're putting people in jail for pointing out obvious truths.
Pre-crime. It's Minority Report. It's that Tom Cruise. Remember that Tom Cruise
Yeah,
movie?
of course, yeah. But it's really Orwell because it's up is down. It's like literally war is peace. Like it's literally like
That's interesting.
we've changed history to mean what we want it to mean, and to say we've changed truth to mean what we decide it is.
Yeah.
And people are going to jail in Europe and in Canada for saying things that are obvious truths. that everyone 20 years ago agreed on. Not a single person on Earth would have made 20 years ago, would have made a coherent argument on any of this stuff. That now you go to jail for saying what we all believed up until when? I don't know, 2020, 15? When did I don't know when this happened.
The upside down. The new Stranger Things season 5.
Yeah.
It's out now. So they released the first. This is the final season. It's actually an interesting, way deeper. It's like sci-fi horror, kind of 80s nostalgic, but there's actually some really interesting themes.
I know people like it. I haven't watched
in it. There's some really interesting philosophical, spiritual themes that they kind of do a good job, because it's relatively entertaining and nostalgic, but they do a decent enough job with some of that to make it like kind of fun, entertaining. But it's the final season, and they released 4 episodes, and they're going to release, it's 8 episodes total this season. They're going to release 3 more on Christmas, and then the final episode on New Year's Eve. And like the 4th episode, it's almost like a feature-length movie. It's almost like an hour and a half, hour and 40. I mean, they're long episodes. So it's interesting. So do you know the concept of the upside down from Stranger Things?
No.
Okay, so it's almost like a portal.
Okay.
To another dimension. Okay, so the upside down is just Earth inverted.
Yep.
Right. So
there's a movie that
hell, in a way,
that,
right?
yeah.
It could be hell, or it could be an analogy, for the Christian worldview, or the worldview that this is a fallen Earth. Like any of the
or multiple
ancient
timelines
religions,
idea.
But there's like multiple like cultures and religions and belief systems believe that this was, a place of fallen angels or fallen gods or fallen something, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's probably true.
So, yeah, maybe. So what Stranger Things does is it inverts, going into the portal is like the demonic fallen realm, where demons are openly possessing and, and doing that kind of stuff, right? What's interesting to me on this last episode is that they're now able to, with CERN and stuff that we've talked about, dimensional portals, like openly in science.
Yeah.
Well, now they're able to cross over, not just the special people, like we're able to cross over into the upside down as humans, right? Which, okay, not that interesting, but okay, kind of cool. The part that was really cool to me from like a flat Earth possibility perspective is in the upside down, they're there and they're trying to put trackers in to track from above as they're traversing the upside down, so they can find out where they are, so that if they're in trouble, they can help people back through to safety, right? So as they're doing this, they hit this wall, and it's like this demonic flesh wall, this, crazy, nasty looking wall that's and they're trying to they can't penetrate the wall, right? And then they bounce it into another place, and then they figure out, like, wait a second, it's a circle. It's like an ice wall, right? In the fallen world, it's a wall in the demonic realm, in the fallen world that's keeping people in. And then I'm not gonna go in, but there's some interesting, oftentimes they show you some of that stuff,
right,
and that's a theme there, and it's interesting. Like one of the main characters that was like the first child possessed, or one of the first possessed by this demonic entity, and has had, trouble throughout the series of being repossessed and trying to hide, not let people know that there's still this weird shit. I'm not normal. I'm not back to myself, kind of thing. The 4th episode kind of comes to this, like epiphany that, like, I need to stop searching. Like, I need to stop looking for answers. I need to stop looking outward. Like,
Yeah.
And then like the power of realizing you are in the image of God. Like how to, when you really like embody that, like that can be transformational.
Yes.
So it's kind of like that's where the fourth episode kind of stopped. So now you'll see, because like I'm curious to see how, because how does good defeat evil, evil defeat good? You can read the Bible, you can read ancient texts from all over the place, and you can hear about stories about how it's possible, how it happens, how it's going to happen. But maybe, right? So it's always interesting to me to see when they do these epic things, like how does it end? Do they have an ending? Is it a cliffhanger? Even though this is the end of the series, and it's been relatively well done, so I'm kind of curious to see if there's like a unique twist or not.
I don't know if good or evil can defeat one another. I think it's in duality, like in this realm, like in a realm of duality. But
Well,
I think if there's any sort of way to do that, it's what you just described. Because if evil is the shadow, then wholeness is the solution, which is what you just described in terms of
which can only come from the light.
realizing you're right, realizing you are in the image, you of the likeness of God, and
which defeats evil.
It incorporates the shadow. It allows the shadow to heal, which makes evil dissolve, is how I would say it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which that's.
Yeah. To me, defeats has a contradictory, it's not the right word, has a, like, militaristic's not the right word either, but, it has a connotation of battle, of, like, against.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? And I know, like, you can say, oh, well, that's once we get to the singularity, maybe. That's what people think. Nobody knows. Like, that concept only dissolves if duality doesn't exist.
Right.
But duality exists.
Exactly.
And it's existed for a long time, as far as we know. And it's going to continue to exist as long as we can comprehend. Just because we think it's not doesn't mean it won't. Right? So, I don't know, like the battle, the battling things. I'm with you on that concept, like fighting for a cause, fighting for this, battling
it's
that. It's like,
it's counterproductive.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, it's counterproductive. It's a trap. It's one of the big lessons.
That doesn't mean to, like, lay down and be walked over.
No, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean like just acquiesce.
There's a really interesting, like, distinction there.
Yeah.
Between not being against and also not being trampled on.
Right, and that's really complex and nuanced and layered and not easily understood, I think, by people like just
very few people understand that. Yeah.
And speaking of, we got to go back to evil. Evil doesn't exist.
I didn't say it doesn't exist.
Well, evil doesn't believe it's evil.
Doesn't know it's evil.
Doesn't know it's evil.
Yeah,
so I'm convinced. Like, I wasn't quite prepared, and you made a compelling
I wasn't
argument.
compared either.
Well, no, you said, Dahmer knew and Bundy didn't know, and all these guys, and I went and looked, and they did know, and they did know, right? And I think that's,
I didn't want to have this conversation.
I just want to clear up a few things.
Okay.
Because I think, reading books like Gulag Archipelago and Ordinary Men by Browning, they help me understand how ordinary men can come to do unconscionable things from like a psychological, spiritual, logical perspective, like how they can go from a butcher to a mass murderer in war. Like, they did a good enough job in those books to rationalize the psychological steps to get there that I'm like, wow, that guy, I wouldn't necessarily call that guy evil, incarnated, even though he did evil things at some point.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy.
Which
Okay.
Where do you draw that line? Because we all have in one way.
Yeah. Right. So,
Yeah.
so, but again, like the baby oil, Diddy's baby oil on the slope. Everything is a slippery slope, man.
Yeah.
And you just fly down the and this one particularly, like moral relativism is rooted in like nihilistic tendencies, in my opinion. So like that's where we
Hold on, say it one more time.
moral relativism.
is
Evil doesn't
rooted
know
in
it's evil
nihilistic
is a kind of another way of saying morality is relative.
Yeah.
Defending that, right? So regardless, like we could talk about that forever.
That'd be
I
fun.
think
I like that.
think that's I think that could be interesting, but again, I don't know. Again, we're gonna get to the point where it's just we're just postulating, we're just
Like anything, yeah.
Like anything.
I mean, you get to that point, no matter what.
And right. So, but for me, like when, like I was making the case on Dahmer and Bundy, and you're like, no, they rationalize, and I went back and I looked and I'm like, is this a Mandela effect? Why do I have a very different?
Well, I just brought up one person that I remembered, the guy with the swastika
we argued
on his
Dahmer,
forehead.
and because I made the Dahmer. Oh, you only eat this many people, and you're like, no, like we talked about rapists, and like, oh, they'll have a story, and they don't know that, and there's like tons of examples, including Dahmer, including Bundy, including the mass rapist Panzram, and the Ramirez kid. But like these are some of these are quotes from them.
Mm-hmm.
Stone Phillips, Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know how to phrase it. I think I'm evil. I really do.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any lasting meaning in life. It ultimately led me to believe that I was evil. That's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
I became a monster. I know that. I did at the time. I know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I knew it was evil. Like, I mean, I was completely swept along with my own compulsion. I knew I shouldn't do it. I don't know how else to say it. I was addicted to being evil. Like that's Ted Bundy. I'm the most cold-hearted son of a bitch you'll ever meet. I like to kill. I wanted to kill.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoy being evil. I deserve the most extreme punishment society has because they have to protect people from me and others like me.
Yep.
We're serial killers. We serial killers are your sons. We are your husbands. We are everywhere. And there will be more of your children dead tomorrow. He knows he's like, like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker guy. Yep. I am beyond evil. Lucifer dwells in us all. Hail Satan. I don't need to hear society's rationalizations. I've heard them all before. I am of the legions of the night breed. Repeat not the errors, and I will not prowl and show no mercy on you. Maggots make me sick. I am beyond evil. I am beyond your experience. Hail Satan. I love to kill. Like, these are, to me, like, these are perfect examples of evil knowing it's evil.
Yep.
And I think the point you were making is that oftentimes we can rationalize our decisions or our actions as to why we don't think they're evil or why we think they're righteous.
Yeah, or justified.
But I think that's like, a conscious externalization of the reality of the subconscious, or on some level consciously knowing it's evil, as evidenced by these guys doing nasty things and saying it and knowing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, I don't even need to talk about that. I just wanted to share because I was like, man, I don't remember Dahmer that way. I don't remember Bundy that way. I don't remember them in any way, like, not thinking they were evil. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, man, is this...
Well, yeah, I mean, you were pressing me for examples, and so I used that guy. I forget his name. I could look it up. I used the guy that had...
Manson.
Is it Manson? Yeah. And I just remember him in interviews. Like, I remember watching interviews of him and listening to him explain himself. And,
No, he was
like very evil human being, obviously, right? Like, responsible for lots of murders and a death cult and whatever else.
Right.
And if you listen to him speak, he sounds intelligent and rational, and he has a rationalization and a story as to why he did the things he did and why he believes in them and so on and so forth. And I think from my perspective, the vast majority of what you could call evil, which I think even defining that could be difficult for me, maybe not for you, but what you could call evil, I think the vast majority of it is in that camp.
Manson knew he was evil, bro. Go watch the Geraldo interview of him in prison. It's like the late 80s.
That one. I think I watched that one.
Manson literally tells him, "I'm the most evil ever met."
Okay.
In your life. I mean, he says that.
All right. Well, yeah, okay. I mean, I just, if you listen to him talk, it sounds to me like he believes he was doing the right thing in his mind.
No, he says,
even if he believes it was evil.
He says, "I'm the devil. I'm here to do the devil's work." Manson quotes that. Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know either. I don't know, man.
But when he says that, like, I can't defend that he doesn't know he's evil. When the person says, "I'm the most evil person you'll ever meet in your life. I'm the devil here to do the devil's work."
Yeah.
I'm not.
I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree. There's a kind of a nuance in there that what I was trying to get at, maybe not well, that I think.
No, you did.
I think exists.
You convinced me to challenge. Like, did I miss? Is this Mandela effect?
No.
Do I not remember this right?
Like, if you look, if you look at. This is the only point I was trying to make. Like, if you look at what I would describe as negative acts, even if it's just as simple as, like, yelling at your kids, right? Like, I lose my temper and I yell at my children.
Yep.
Later, I'm going to think about what I did, and I'm going to come to a realization that doesn't matter what my story is in my head about why it was justified, that was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and, I'm going to do the best I can to not do it again and to apologize and fix it as best I can. But even me, who I would not say is evil, right? Like, in general, right?
Even you.
right. I'm going to have that moment where I'm feeling totally justified in what I'm doing, which I would argue is an evil thing to do. Like, to yell at a young child who you're bigger than, who looks up to you, who is defenseless, affects them negatively, based on, I don't know, we'd have to define what evil means, but I think we could say that that's an evil thing to do. But I have a story about it, right? And that story is like, well, they did this and this happened and so and they deserve or something like that, right? And now again, I'm someone who wants to be a force of good in the world, and I look at these things and I process and I work on myself and things. So I'm not someone that's going to take that very far. I might be realizing right when I'm doing it that it's not okay, and I might stop right then, and fine. But as you go down through choices, like as you go down that path to worse and worse and worse thoughts and actions, I believe for most people, if not all, and and I don't know if this is is contradictory to what you're pointing out or not, but I would, my take on that, like, my perspective, just my observation on that, is that people who do that, who get to the point where they're doing truly evil things, like murder or rape or mass murder or like whatever, or rigging the financial system to, make people impoverished or, whatever.
50-year mortgages?
Right. That, like, they went step by step, and, like, they have a story as to why they're doing what they're doing. And if you get into these situations where you're in court or there's some sort of reconciliation thing like they do in some places in Africa or different things, and you hear, like, people tell their, like, experience of what led to them macheteing people or whatever they were doing, it's not like they just woke up one day and were like, I'm evil and I'm going to murder people. It wasn't that.
Yeah, in some cases it was.
Right, maybe that exists somewhere.
But that's what ordinary men in Gulag Archipelago do a phenomenal job illustrating, that transition.
And I haven't read those.
Yeah, those do, like, real anecdotal, like, detailed, evolution or de-evolution
Yeah.
into that. Whatever you want to describe that, what you're talking about, those books, that's what I mean. Those books do great jobs of like making it real for people to understand how that's possible, right? And how that is actually maybe even common, right? But I don't know that it's like I think part of the story we get from the Reformation, from the courts, is part of the problem. Is part of the system, the system of the same thing that give us 15,000 genders. It's, like, tell me how you rationalize, explain to me why, let me hear your story. And then, like, the human mind is limitless in that perspective. Then it's like, then we find ways, because we all, I mean, I want to believe we all want hope, and we want that, so that people that are working in those fields truly want to see a transformational reformation, of people, and believe that's possible. And then, how unbiased can you remain if you're intimately involved in that person? Like, and evidence of that is when you see so many psychotherapists and psychologists and that have taken on so many of these things that they're not saying anymore, like they're so, like they've taken on so many stories and to try and, help people. But are we, like, how much of it is real and how much of it is just like a fabricated rationalization to feel?
Who knows, right.
I think that's part of that Reformation process of
So then
reconciling evil.
Let me ask your opinion on this then, going back to like the core argument then, maybe, if this is it. I don't really know. But if the devil exists, right? Let's postulate that the devil exists.
Right?
If the devil exists, which I think so, probably, but if the devil exists, do you think the devil thinks it's doing the right thing or no?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do. I think I do. I think it
Just
believes it's supposed to be against God.
Yeah.
And is like justified in that.
No, I don't believe that. And I don't, just as I don't think Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, or any of these guys think they were doing the right thing either. And that is a physical manifestation of that belief.
Yeah, I mean, and their words, from what you're sharing, seem to agree with that.
And actions.
And actions.
And actions.
Yeah, but again, I mean, the actions don't necessarily agree or disagree. The words would give credence to the idea that they were conscious that it's evil.
But I think that the actions can be objectively deemed evil.
Well, sure, of course.
Well, right. So not only that, but then their intent.
Right.
So it's not just, what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, like, I don't know. It's like if they're choosing. Yeah, I don't know. I hear what you're saying.
Who knows? Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, here's the point for me.
Yeah.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness, in my opinion.
Right.
Only light can do that. Hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, on a lighter note, what do you call Santa when he accidentally falls into a lit fireplace? Crisp Kringle.
Okay.
That's funny. It's almost Christmas, dude. It's December.
Yeah.
It's December. It's not even officially winter in the States yet. I don't think it's
right.
like
The solstice is that the 21st?
21st. Right, and they're having some extreme weather already.
Shocker.
Right? Like my dad.
It's almost like they're controlling it.
Right. In the Midwest, I've got friends that have got 6-8 inches in like the southern part of Illinois or middle. And then in the northern part, they're anywhere from 10 to 16 inches of snow. It's not even technically officially winter yet. Mm-hmm. My dad said he's already plowed twice. He only plowed 4 times all last winter, and it's not even winter yet.
Yep.
I mean, there's my buddy in Peoria is sending me weather stuff that's like they're at 0 degrees, 2 degrees of nighttime highs. right now in the beginning of December, and that's
Nighttime
not the
lows.
windshield, or nighttime lows, not the windshield, not the windshield,
The windshield.
the wind chill, wind chill, homie, Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
And then there's like, there's, you know, again, I don't know, weather forecasters, you know, that kind of stuff. They're talking about record-setting predicted lows in the Midwest and Northeast of the United States in a couple weeks.
All right, so
Like, and they're saying like it's because the jet stream is material changing or
Yeah.
something. That's what they're projecting again. I don't know.
so how much of that is God and how much of that is manipulation?
Harp.
Right, and are those the same thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
On some level.
Well, I mean, how much of like I'm curious to see because I've seen from several different prognosticators,
yeah.
mainstream and otherwise, that are projecting this like historic all-time lows around the same time. So where's that coming from?
Right.
Where are they getting and does it
Right.
actually happen? I'm curious now.
Right.
I mean, 0 degrees, that's cold, but I mean, we've had that before. We've had 20 below with wind, you know, before in places I've lived. So, but if that's like the non-wind chill daytime low or worse, it's record setting, like that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Especially when all the, you know, if the jet stream is changing because of, you know, we're going to get these Arctic blasts. I thought the Arctic was melting because of global warming. I don't know.
Right.
No, I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I think the ocean's about to be outside.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the most powerful word
What?
that I've recently realized how powerful it is because it's so not triggering if you actually believe it when you say it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like
It's a
that could be
disarming word.
well, it could be the answer. Like for a lot of the stuff we talk about, we don't know. We don't know.
No.
You know, it's fun. It's fun to go down and talk through this stuff, and it's interesting, but we don't know. So I can feel compelled, you know, on one side of something or weighted somewhere. But since I've started, you know, being like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe that's true, maybe, like it's like, wow, I'm less triggered, I'm less like paralyzed. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. No, I think that's a big, I think that's a milestone, really, for life on Earth. It's just being less convicted in your beliefs, that they're right and you're right, and having an identity with your beliefs.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a very big trap. It doesn't, because the thing, it's the same as what we were talking about earlier with fighting against evil or fighting against, right? It's the same trap. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're right. If you need to tell everyone about it and you need to be convicted in it and you're going to get into arguments and fights and disagreements and like bad energy because you're right, does that bring anyone over to your side?
Does that compel
No.
anybody?
Does that, right, nothing. Does it influence,
It
right.
repels.
It
instead of
repels.
compels.
It's literally backfires. It's
Yeah.
the same as fighting evil. Like, yeah, so I think that, I mean, man, I mean, I still have my pitfalls with that for sure, but I used to be like Mr. I'm right for most of my life. And I pissed a lot of people off and you know, it caused bad things, and it's been a process learning how to just you know, just have less stake in my perceptions and my beliefs.
Right. And openness, like you're opening like that maybe, like that's okay.
Right.
And it's interesting. I had a really deep talk with a friend, an old friend. You know, one of my best friends in the world at one point, and he's kind of opening up to some of these possibilities of maybe, you know, like flat Earth and just even considering that it might be a possibility. And again, that's all I'm at. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's evidence that it could be, and I'm okay like entertaining that, right? So, and all these other things like stuff we've talked about ad nauseum with chemtrails and vaccines and yada yada yada. So he's been open, and one of the things, and he's super successful, super intelligent, super thoughtful. But he's been, you know, he has one of these you know, logical fallacies that tripped him up. You know, it's the appeal to incredulity. Incredulity. Yeah, that's the right. Yeah. So like popularity, kind of in a sense. So like, it's always, well, if that's true, then 10,000 people have to be in on it and lying.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, so that I can't, like, that's the piece that blocks it, right?
That's a lot of people.
Right. So I went through and, you know, because I really wanted to try and like help him understand how, you know, and when you brought up ego and identity, that's really what a lot of this is. When you're defending a position or an opinion, or it's stopping you from continuing to understand something with a logical fallacy, with a known logical fallacy, that's really kind of your ego protecting your fragile identity, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to give him some examples. Because it's interesting, and maybe people haven't thought about this, but because there's tons of examples where literally thousands or hundreds of thousands of people were involved, and didn't know, you know, what they were actually working.
Compartmentalization.
Right, exactly, right. So I gave him the iPhone, for example, right? And most people probably don't even know this, but this is where literally thousands, tens of thousands of employees were involved, thousands of engineers, and they were all working on separate components for years, literally years. Yet only 20 people actually knew what they were making, right?
And they're under NDAs, and they're under all kinds of, you know.
Or the Manhattan Project. I mean, that's the one.
That's how the military operates.
Right. Manhattan Project had literally hundreds of thousands of people working on it for years in all capacities, yet only a select few people knew they were actually building an atomic bomb, right? Like, there are countless examples. Those are just two like popular ones that I gave him, but I gave him a couple of quotes, and these are quotes in an example, because he's taken multiple companies public. He's seen startup to public company, right? And I told him, like, dude, only puny secrets need protection. You've heard this quote before. I've said it before. Only puny secrets need protection. Big discoveries are protected by public what? You just said it.
Incredulity.
Right.
They just won't believe it,
Right. So most propaganda is not designed to fool the critical thinker, but it's to give the coward, who I would define as our ego protecting our fragile identity, an excuse not to think at all. Like, you know, excuse to rationalize, I can wear a cat tail. Identify as a black cat. Oh, that's a black dog. Right, you know, like that's what it allows us to do that. And I told him, like, you know this well from being part of these startup organizations that have gone public. I learned this at General Mills. Most companies actually use this concept strategically to their advantage. You know, a large organization doesn't need thousands and thousands of employees to lie.
Yeah.
It's like a giant Lego set. Each person or department sees only their few pieces, and they work on those pieces, and only a tiny group at the top knows the full picture. They decide what to show everybody else, and to show whatever other department internally. Like that's the reality of, you know, the logical, of using that logical fallacy as a roadblock to continuing to think critically.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one for people that think it has to be this giant conspiracy with all
Totally.
these people lying and these evil people and
they all
and
know,
they all know, and it's
yeah.
really not that, right? And they did experiments on that with the werewolf in the village, experiments where they, it's like a group of people and there's like one werewolf or one or two werewolves and
Yeah.
and 50
They
villagers.
have to identify them or whatever.
And they don't know who's who, and then the werewolves have to kill the villagers before the villagers identify who the werewolf is, right? And every single experiment, the werewolf wins, right? Like,
Is that right?
Yeah, like no matter how large, they kept expanding the sample, and it didn't matter. They got to like, I remember one study in Germany, they did like 500 villagers, and it was like one or two werewolves, and the werewolves killed everybody, right? Well, was everybody, how many, it took, it must have took 300 villagers must have been in on it to kill, you know what I mean? Like it's like over and over, but yet that's like a hard one for, even for me, like to comprehend, that's kind of the reality.
It's because, I think in addition to what you've identified, the other piece of that is it's a safety issue for people. Mm-hmm. So they have a worldview that they feel safe in, which is basically that people are good, governments are good, everything's good in their world. Like you can trust things.
Yeah.
I can trust the TV. And again, this stuff's really failing. Like 20 years ago, I could have said, I can trust the government, I can trust the news, I can trust it, and that would have worked for the example I want to give. I don't think that works anymore, which is really a testament to the time we're in, because, people are in mass realizing that's not true, that you can't trust the government, you can't trust the television, you can't trust your politicians, you can't, on and on, your institutions, academia, etc. So it's really a testament, I think, to the awakening, which is beautiful.
Well, I think you can trust, you just can't. You have to verify.
But
right? Trust and verify.
But I think that's like psychologically, I think that's really the other piece, is it threatens people's sense of safety. So it's like if I were to entertain this idea that whoever you are is presenting me, that there could be some nefarious stuff going on at a large scale, I would have to rework my life. I would have to redo my beliefs and my perspectives, and my identities would have to shift, and my understandings, and I would have to take action on things that I wouldn't want to. And it's like, I think people really, that's another piece that really stops people from going through the logical process that you would like them to, we'd all like them to go through.
That's the cognitive dissonance setting in, right? And that's exactly what I meant when I said the ego, the coward would rather not think critically, because the ego is there to protect your fragile identity.
Right.
Like it's like our identity is some like carved in granite thing that was constructed and it can never change and should never change because it's a geological fact. I don't know, like it's such a strange concept. And because like your ego is protecting that, like it's threatening because it's so like that's the irony, that it's so fragile that you would protect it like a coward, like it can't change
at all costs,
because why? Right?
There's nothing there. There's no there, right?
Right. So your identity can change. Like I think,
of course,
right? I think you can, and I think a perfect example of that I've learned personally is coming to Ecuador, and being and experiencing a different culture and a different language, and seeing my kids, develop in a different culture, in a different language, and understanding. It made it crystal clear to me that if I was taken from where I was raised, by the people I was raised, in the place I was raised, and put here with different people in this culture, I wouldn't be the same person.
Not even
my
close,
identity. I wouldn't be what I identify as me. Right. But that's so it can't be this granite thing. Your identity. That's not. That's the trap. That's the construct.
The only thing real is the soul.
Right. Yeah.
The only thing real is the soul. The rest of it is just the character we play on TV.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just the character we play in the experience.
Right.
I like the concept of, I like the avatar concept for that.
Avatars. Yeah.
You know, of like, we are avatars, right? Like, it's like, there's a, you know, there's a, call it what you want. I won't start that debate, but there's an experience, whatever you want to call it. There's an experience, you know, that you, being the soul, being the spirit, but really the soul, the consciousness, enters into, which then has certain parameters in order to interact.
Yep.
And so, you know, it's the video game concept. It's like you're the guy holding the controller, and then your body and whatever's going on is the character on the video game that you're doing this.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's what this is. And so, right, we take on, we have, you know, we're afraid. And so we take on all these identities basically to protect ourselves because we think we're worried about survival because we don't know that we're limitless beings and that our soul doesn't die and all that kind of
Or
stuff.
we're programmed that way.
Super endless amounts of programming.
Right.
Endless. And so, right, and then if you want to, like, you know, if you want to sort of become aware of those things, it's kind of an endless process of breaking down mental structures and programming.
Yeah.
It's endless. All of which have to do with identity, and all of that has to do with safety, protection, like, yeah. Which even goes back to the evil argument, because that's why people are doing evil, because they think they need to do this to protect themselves, to like feel safe, to like.
I mean, that doesn't mean they don't know it's
No,
evil.
it doesn't mean that. Yeah.
I think I was looking at, you know, you talked about like other generations and, you know, like our parents or baby boomers, you know, they were watching the news and they trusted it. And how about the irony of that? Like most of our parents, I mean, I'm at the end of Gen X, you're millennial, right?
I'm not.
You are. Yes, you are. You were born in the 80s.
I'm not. It's
you're
also,
a millennial.
So
okay. Anyway, so I'm a Gen X, you're a millennial, and you could be closer to the Gen X, you know, than flat, you know, in the middle of the millennials. But the point being that our parents are boomers, and they grew up watching Walter Cronkite, you know, and other news anchors. Now, how about the irony of that, right? Mm-hmm. Of believing they could trust the news. Well, guess what? Guess what we know now? It's publicly available on the CIA's website, on the FBI. You can go find Walter Cronkite worked for the CIA.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Project
Mockingbird. Yeah. You know, like people, it's there. Like so the irony of living in a time where I can trust the news, I can watch the news and trust. That was the first public iteration of controlled programming, you know, that we're aware of in the mass media, right? And to think that happened then,
right?
Like what about now? Like right?
And they've been working on this endlessly, right?
Right. So and then the other thing that's interesting when I started thinking about generations like that and timelines, you know, even, you know, being a Gen Xer and you being a millennial, or an early millennial.
I'm about to tear you apart.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Like, no, I know there's micro. Listen, you can. How many genders are there, Jesse? Yes. How many generations? How many micro generations? How many nuanced How many layered generations?
Anyways,
yes.
Finish your point.
You can identify.
You're threatening my identity,
you
bro.
can identify
You're
as
threatening
whatever
my
generation
identity. We're gonna
you are
argue
from.
about it.
Were you born in the 80s? What year?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
80.
you're a millennial. But it doesn't even mean anything. What's interesting to me about any of this is that you and I both grew up in a predominantly analog world. We were raised through adults, like computers and, you know, personal computers and internet and smartphones weren't around until we were in college, you know.
In a significant way.
In a significant way. They weren't common, right? Mm-hmm. So we were predominantly grown up until that point, like every, you know, recent generation that we, you know, can talk about in an analog world. Mm-hmm. And then we're the only generation, even though I'll kind of lump you towards the middle, even though you're a millennial. we're some
This
of
really threatens my identity.
I know,
I'm
it's
not gonna lie.
awesome. I know, it's great. But we're the group of folks that grew up that way, were raised in a world that way, and then have now had to execute and live in the digital world, right? So like every generation after us, you know, the beginning of, you know, the millennials, after that, they don't know the analog world.
No,
they weren't raised
our
in it.
kids have no clue.
They were raised in the fully. So it's interesting that we're like this bridge generation, this bridge group that experienced
Both, yeah.
both,
Yeah.
and have operated in both, and can understand both like tangibly. I don't know what the hell that actually means.
No, it's true.
It's unique though to
Yeah,
me. It's
it is.
unique and it's interesting and it could be powerful and it's, I don't know. It's I was inspired like to think through that. I don't know.
Well, since you're threatening my identity, so this is what ChatGPT has to say on the subject.
What year were you born again?
82.
82.
The micro generation.
Ah, see? I knew it.
Bro, let me see.
Okay.
Between Gen X and millennials is commonly called Zennials, which I've never heard of. Also known as the Oregon Trail generation.
Yeah.
From that video game?
Yeah,
Is
I remember Oregon
I remember
Trail.
that. Yeah, I played that.
Commodore
They're
64.
typically born between 77 and 83. Some say 78 and 84. Right on the cusp, blah, 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 blah. So then I asked an additional question because I remember as a kid being told that I'm Gen X.
Really?
I think before millennials probably even was a thing people were talking about. I don't know.
They've
hold on.
told
So
you as an adult that you're a cis male.
So I thought, right, they did. I thought cis means.
I don't know.
I think that means I don't know either. I think I'm okay with
I'm
that.
trying
I'm not
to make
sure.
a joke.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't
good
know
one.
actually.
So I was thinking it might have been one of these Mandela effect things.
But it's not.
Well, so I asked a follow-up question. I said, was Gen X ever defined up until around 1983? Short answer, yes. Earlier definitions, so this is when they would have told me that. Earlier definitions of Gen X sometimes did extend up to 1983, but this was not the dominant final definition. Here's the breakdown. Originally, Gen X had very loose boundaries. Researchers, journalists, and marketers used different cutoff years. Some said 61 to 81, others said 65 to 83, others said 64 to 78. So yes, blah, 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 blah.
So what's the other interesting thing I thought about that was that what was the generation before us was the boomers, then it was the greatest generation, and like how did we go from like names like that to Gen X?
Right.
Like what the hell?
I don't know.
That just seems weird to me.
Yeah.
Like where did that, like who decided that, and how do you go from names defining generations that are, I don't know, that versus all of a sudden Gen X? I don't know. I don't know what that means either. I just found it odd that there's names and then that Gen X. And I mean, then you go to millennials
we
and
could look up
blah blah
why.
blah.
I don't know why.
I don't know. I mean, why does AI tell us? What does AI tell us? Why?
What do you want? What is the
I don't
question?
know. What are the last 5 generations?
Why?
Names of the last 5 generations.
All right, I don't know. I don't want to
Yeah,
look.
whatever. I don't know. Don't you think that's a little odd though?
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
I think yes. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason, but I think the endless massaging of our reality does this. You know, where I mean, like I was talking to you about the color being taken out of society. I think that's really interesting. Like I think if you go back to the 60s and 70s and even 80s, and you look at clothes and cars and houses and just life was colorful, and it is no longer.
Well, it's interesting. It's almost like inverted in a way because real life was colorful and digital life, TVs were black and white
Right.
and print
Yeah,
and
that's
not
a good-
color.
that's a good
It
point.
was, you know, like
It's true.
it was
No,
not.
and I would even argue it's a good reflection on sort of our relationship to the world. You know, our relationship to the world has become more deadened as we've transitioned the importance of our relationship into technology.
And science.
And yeah.
Trust the science, Jesse.
Well, I do always.
Yes, good.
Yes.
And you won't get banned from YouTube.
So here's the. Was it Was it Dr. Fauci that? Did you ever look at the whole?
Dr. Fauci.
Did you ever look at the Mother Teresa conspiracy?
I don't recall. With Dr. That it has something to do with Dr. Fauci?
If I remember correctly,
I don't.
They look very similar.
No, do they?
Very. Look.
Oh, God, I remember when, like Dr. Fauci, when I learned about Dr. Fauci, you know, like during the AIDS epidemic, and that whole era, like I knew of Dr. Fauci because I was into alternative medicine and different things.
This is gonna blow your mind.
Before COVID, and I think most people I know, Dr. Fauci became like this lovable Italian grandpa that says trust the science during COVID. Like I think that was like most people's first exposure to Dr. Fauci, and have no idea who he was up to that point, or what he was involved in. And that's an interesting rabbit hole. I mean, it's out there now. A lot of people know that, but I mean, I remember having friends tell me, like, how could you not like this guy? And I'm like, he's likable. I don't disagree. He's super likable. I'd love to go have a pizza with him. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to the whole like not wanting to believe. You know, it's like you have that with the Beatles, for example.
The Beatles.
Yeah, you like the Beatles. The idea that they could have been doing, you know, part of bad things, and it hurts a little bit, right? I have that with certain actors, But that's what I'm saying. But it goes back. It goes back to that. It's like you don't want to accept that people who you feel like you know, you feel like you like, you feel like you resonate with. I don't mean you. I just mean all of us.
No.
Like I have that with certain actors. It's like, oh, like this guy's eating babies, you know, like you know,
maybe,
right? Yeah, I
don't know,
but
again.
you're right. I'm just talking. Right, I don't know either. I'm just talking about the way that feels. You don't want to accept, you know, that. I don't mean you. I just mean any of us. Like it's, you know,
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like I've even come to, you know, watching, and you know, AI has given us the ability to again, assuming AI is telling the truth,
right.
But to listen to old audio in different languages and translate it, you know, without having to rely on someone else translating it, right? Again, I mean, that sounds a little, you know, oh, that's funny. He does look a little bit, huh? The nose is different, but a little, wow. Fauci. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
And there's the whole like conspiracy with Mother Teresa is an interesting one.
Yeah, but the AI, and I've done a couple of clips where I took clips and I put it through AI, and then I put it through other, is this true? Is this the accurate? You know, I've done as much vetting as you could, where I've even looked up individual words to dictionary, you know, like I've done all that, and it's given me the confidence that I think AI does a generally unbiased job of doing that, right? So once you do that, you can put some of these old foreign language speeches through it, and again, I don't just like the Beatles, you know, I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Maybe the Beatles were involved in some demonic, weird shit that I don't agree with. I accept that that's a possibility. That doesn't mean I don't appreciate some of their music, appreciate some of their ideas, or agree with some of it, right? And that goes with anybody. And the reason I'm even saying this is because I've done some of this with some of Hitler's speeches. And man, there's a different I have a different perspective hearing some of Hitler's speeches translated. That doesn't mean he didn't say nasty things or do, you know, like.
Because you're an anti-Semite.
But yeah, I mean, I would be called that, right? Just because I say that statement, that's wild, huh?
Yeah.
That I would be identified as that, because I said, wow, he said some actually inspiring things that I agree with. And then that led me to a documentary that was like 6 hours long. It's called The Greatest Story Never Told. Now, listen, I've not vetted everything. I've not done, hardcore research, and I know there's always multiple sides to every story and bias and yada yada yada.
Yep.
That all said, having done the independently listening to some of these speeches and then watching that documentary, it gave me enough information to say maybe Hitler wasn't the guy that I was taught that he was.
Yeah, I mean, of course he wasn't. Like, is any of our history real?
Well,
I mean,
right, but it's just like a real example that I think anybody can go do that. That's kind of the power of it. Like anybody can go do what I just said, and if you do it with an open mind and be like, holy cow, maybe, like, and then you're going to assimilate the information differently. You're going to consider it differently.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've all just blindly believed what we've been taught, man.
Yeah.
And to whatever degree we stop doing that, again, which is an endless process of shattering the mental structures. And I mean, I was thinking about this same topic loosely recently, where, look, I think that the same people controlled and funded both sides of World War II. I believe the same thing about World War I. That's my belief. Doesn't mean I'm right. That's my understanding. So I don't view those conflicts as naturally occurring conflicts that just happened to unfold the way they did, and either side could have won. And I don't view it that way. I think there were plans in place, and there was, there was a controlled event. Or
is that kind of like part of the Hegelian dialectic?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So. And then if you look into it, I mean, like, literally the same people were funding. So that's not a conspiracy at all. Like,
it's a false dichotomy.
It's a complete fact. And you even had, U.S. corporations were funding German war instruments, whatever tanks, whatever they needed, manufacturing, etc. So you had Germany fighting us with our stuff. Funded by our corporations, and then anyways, I don't want to get into all that.
Similarly as today's current politics in the West.
Exactly.
People fund Democrats and Republicans from the same...
And they fund the wars also. I mean, same thing is going on right now with wars and everything. Anyway, so that's my personal opinion on that. So then if you take that a little bit further and you say, like, well, who won and lost that war exactly? Well, who did we side with? Communists, literally.
Yeah.
Like, literally, our teammate was communists. So the communists won. You could make an argument. You could make an argument that the U.S. aligned with the Soviet Union, aka the communists, won World War II, and you could also make a very strong argument that communism has been implemented since then in a very large way. Yeah. Maybe not fully, and maybe not,
Well, socialism for sure has been normalized in the United States.
Right. And so, and then it's even interesting. I mean, the Nazi Party was a socialist party also.
Right.
So you had communists fighting socialists, in one sense. Yeah. And then I don't know, did the right, quote unquote, what team was, were there even teams, and, was what was going on in Europe at that time and going on in the world at that time, was it really like Germany and Italy and whoever else was aligned that should have won, Japan, that should have won, based on ideologically, from my perspective? Quite possibly. And that has nothing to do, I'm Jewish, and like, that has nothing to do with...
I knew it!
That has nothing to do with, like, being against anybody or thinking that some sort of like race ideology, or like, I'm not into any of that at all. But just in terms of politically and what was going on and the cabal and the bad plans and, this kind of stuff, like, did the good guys win? I don't really think so. From what
did anybody win? Was there,
exactly.
Was there even a winner?
So it's, all that stuff's interesting. Yeah. Like, we're just taught to believe all these things, and we just believe them.
Yeah.
But, ideologically, I think at the time, if I had been there, I probably would have been more aligned. If I don't know what was going on with the race stuff and all that, that's different. But just in terms of sovereignty and economics and some of that stuff, not in terms of what we've been told was going on, but what I've come to understand probably was more likely to be going on. I think the fascist, quote unquote, that's hilarious to even say. The fascist, I'm forgetting the other word, alliance was probably a better one than the communist. I don't even know what you call it. Communist, capitalist, right?
I mean, weren't they fighting for that too?
For what do you mean?
I mean, that's some of the interesting things that I was seeing in some of the speeches from Hitler. And that time was he was arguing against sodomy and that and having that in children's lives and I'm like, oh
it's there was similar. I think there was similar stuff
interesting
to now and some of that. Like I don't know.
I don't either.
Probably not a good idea to keep going on this.
It's a maybe. It's a maybe.
Right.
See, maybe.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe. Yeah. That's one other thing really quick because it reminded me of we talked about Stranger Things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do a good job of illustrating the concept that I think happened in real life where we talked about at least going back to our parents' generation while they're watching Walter Cronkite, not knowing he's a CIA operative, not knowing he works for the CIA, thinking they're getting honest opinion news, just reporting, right, when they were being influenced. And then like we know that's a fact,
right.
And it's not just, right? And now we've learned about the constructs that they've put in place to manipulate children and to control and to manipulate the evolution and construction of their identity as it's being developed as a child, with traumas, with dopamine, with science, with all kinds of things, because why, right? And this is what's interesting about Stranger Things, because the main demon, Vecna or whatever, I forget, he even talks about like they're showing you why did I take you, child? Why you first? Because you're weak. Because you're weak
right.
of mind and body, and you're malleable and you're controllable, and that's why, right? And that's how, the sad part is that's kind of what's happened in the West. Like we've done that. We've almost poisoned children's mind into believing Instagram life and in this digital world of abundance that's not what that represents. Like we've convinced them of new definitions of words on what happiness is, what content is, what community is, what health is, what success is. And man, and now not only has their identity been built that their ego will protect, but now we've been reinforcing and intentionally traumatizing with science and dopamine and chemicals and food and stress and all this stuff to repel against it, to fight against it even harder, just as we were talking about earlier with compelling people. Now they're innately fighting that. Like that's the battle parents are fighting now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a tough battle to fight. It's so ubiquitous.
Yeah.
It's so ubiquitous. You've probably heard of or come across or read or whatever, Paul Harvey's If I Was the Devil. Yeah, so 1964 this was written.
Yeah.
And this is a quick summary of it. It's too long to read the whole, what he wrote, but quick summary of it. Paul Harvey imagines himself as the devil in 1964 and describes the slow strategic corruption he would use to destroy America from within. Instead of attacking directly, he would work gradually, whispering doubts, encouraging selfishness, and eroding moral values bit by bit. He says he would target institutions that shape society, families, schools, churches, government, and the media. He would make people cynical about religion, distort truth, normalize immorality, and glamorize behaviors that weaken individuals and communities. He would use entertainment, education, and culture to blur the line between right and wrong, convincing people that traditional virtues are outdated and that the destructive behaviors are fashionable, liberating, or modern. Harvey emphasizes that evil would advance not through obvious acts, but through subtle shifts in attitudes, turning people against each other, promoting division, distraction, and apathy. His message is ultimately a warning. A society doesn't fall all at once, but through a quiet, steady abandonment of moral responsibilities and spiritual awareness. I mean, 1964, where here we are, you know, what is it, 70 years later? Is that right? 70 years? No. What is it, 2020 plus 40, 60 something years later? Oh my, how could we be 60 something? Wow,
Wild,
that's
huh?
wild. But here we are, you know, whatever it is, years later, all of that happened. And we're living in a society now that is the result of that. I mean, I think.
No, that's the stuff that, you know, I don't know if, you know, where do you get that? Where do people of this generation find that, right? Like, are they taught that in school? Are
No,
they?
of course not.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it reminded me of Outwitting the Devil,
Yeah,
like
Napoleon
Napoleon
Hill,
Hill,
yeah.
right? So if you guys watching this and you haven't read Outwitting the Devil, it's interesting because Napoleon Hill wrote Outwitting the Devil in 1938.
Right.
And that's when this was before he was popular. This was before he became successful as a writer. He was in financial trouble. Like he wrote Outwitting the Devil. So there's some context to like the time of his life when he wrote this. But guess what? It wasn't published until 2011. 70 years later.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
70
he wanted
years
it.
later.
He wanted it after his death. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like after he got popular, like his foundation and his family, it was so controversial, and people, you know, they were afraid of fears and, you know, the critiques of the church and of schools and yada 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 yada. And then, you know, when he died, his nephew was the one that kind of published it, you know, to the public. So it's similar in what you were talking about, and even back then, I mean, it's interesting because the whole book, the book is Napoleon Hill interviewing the devil as himself, like, you know, like that's the narrative, the story.
Yeah, I've listened to it. I haven't read it.
Yeah.
I've listened
So and if you go through it, he reveals like the only chains holding humanity are these 6 pre-programmed fears that the devil plants in every mind, and and if you kind of comprehend, defeat, I don't know what the right word is, them, you know, then you become untouchable in a way. Like it's
Can
really
you say that one more time?
if you kind of overcome those
Fears.
that sway.
Yeah, then you're untouchable.
Those constructs, those mental constructs, those programs.
Yeah.
Then you become unchained, unbound, you know. I don't, yeah. But those were like the fear of poverty. Now go ahead. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of health or loss of health, fear of the loss of love or being rejected for love, fear of old age, and the fear of death. Like they can all boil down to that. And then you can even boil it down to the fear of death.
I was going to say, that's the only one, right?
Right.
They all offer that, yeah.
But those are all things people fear, and it kind of goes back to some of the things we've talked about last episode where, you know, regardless of whether you're the MAGA hat wearing dude in you know, Publix or the blue-haired, you know, BLM shirt wearing white chick in, you know, Whole Foods.
Yep.
Regardless of how much you hate the other one,
Yep.
or feel like you do, or feel like they don't understand you, at the end of the day, most people either have these same fears, or I would put it another way, have the same hopes. We just want safety for our kids. We want a roof over our heads. We want
Just wanna
clean
live a good
food,
life. Just
water,
wanna live a good life.
and air. We don't want a job that eats our soul. We want a community that's uplifting and
We want a
kind,
happy,
like,
healthy, fulfilled life.
right.
Period.
That's
right?
what most people actually want.
Yep.
So when we frame it as we're scared to lose that or scared to not obtain that, that's what we manifest. That's what we become. That's what we think. You become what you think about. Think and grow rich. Like, that's a lot of what Napoleon Hill talks about, right? So yeah, from a Christian perspective, if you believe that, these concepts aren't an antithesis and they're not, to that. They're supporting those beliefs. You know, like, gosh, it goes, you know, all these concepts can be, you can find a way to find the devil and demon and everything, or you can find God and Christ and everything if you want to.
Right.
You can find creation, you can find hope.
Yep.
Like, that's a choice, you know,
Yeah.
in all of this. Or you can reject everything and everything is demonic. You know, like, that's a
And then the devil
dark,
and then the devil wins.
and the devil wins. Right. Right. And that's kind of what's interesting about Outwitting the Devil and some of the stuff that Paul Harvey said.
Yeah.
Is that you are equipped to outwit the devil,
Yeah.
you know, if you choose to.
Yeah. It's it's an interesting choice of words that he used, outwit. I think I would use a different one, but yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was written in the
100%.
30s.
Right.
I mean, who even says
No, I mean, I
witty comebacks,
Yeah.
whippersnapper? You know, like,
I love how all the old actors used to talk.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think that these sorts of insights that have been given to humanity into the plans were done intentionally and were done by people who were given access to the plans. And I think that goes back to a principle where, because there's free will, if you're going to do something that's negative, you have to inform. You have to you have to inform, so that there's some semblance of informed consent, right? So I think, you know, whether it's Ayn Rand or George Orwell or Aldous Huxley, or Henry Ford, or you know, lots of others that have kind of wink and a nod been like, hey, here's this crazy idea of something that might be happening.
Right.
You know, they were, you know, they had the plans and they were authorized to release them in one form or another. Because again, I mean, I really enjoyed the Fountainhead and as well as Atlas Shrugged, but the Fountainhead in particular, I really had an affinity for. But I really like Ayn Rand's work, and I remember just sort of when I was figuring stuff out for myself in the in the 2010s, just thinking over and over again, like, we're literally living through an Ayn Rand novel. And I would argue we're literally living through a George Orwell novel now as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's interesting. But, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this stuff, too, you know, it's so much of this comes down to what you focus on manifests. Like, that's, in my view, an indisputable, you know, law of this realm. And so I would actually say that differently, but I'll just say it like that. And so, you know, I think one of the tricks that darkness uses to proliferate itself is to get humans to look at it all the time. And I think that's one of the traps. It's like, because you do need to be aware, but you don't need to focus on it, because then you create more of it. So I think that's important in this, right? Because I think that a lot of people, I think, fall into that trap. I did at some point in time. I think a lot of people fall into that trap of thinking everything's dark, everything's a conspiracy, and focusing on the darkness, which then causes you to create it in your own experience and in your own life, aka it proliferates, right? So it wins, getting you to look where it wants you to look.
That's kind of the roots of nihilism in that perspective. The flip side of that, though, is that you know, the phrase, the cliche, the quote, the greatest trick the devil ever did was to convince the world he doesn't exist. Like, so that's the, you know, the opposite, you know, the extreme opposite.
Yeah.
Negative. I don't know I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it's not competing against that. It's literally the opposite view than what you're saying, but it gets to the same point.
That's right. That's
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It sort of speaks to this idea of the middle way, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. You know, when you mentioned like the words, you know, the words we use or that we used to use back in the day, and weren't the insults the best? You know, like you mama's boy, crumb bum, screwball. You know, like, I want that. Like, but they were like dead serious. You're a screwball, mama's boy, crumb bum. You know, stuff like that. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, I want those insults back. Let's make that popular again. That was fun, man. I can't even think of some other ones. Like, they're just so. Jerk. You're a jerk. I don't know.
And it
That's
meant
not a good
something,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Well, Larry, that's just a harebrained idea.
Schmo.
Right.
Chowderhead schmo. You know, I don't know.
I think at one point all the actors had to be from New York because like there's an era of movie where everyone has a New York accent.
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
That film noir genre.
Yeah, that sort of era.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Frankly, dear. Yeah, that's your Casablanca. That's all that stuff.
Yeah, that whole, yeah. Well, we haven't started the podcast.
Dude, we should start the podcast.
Are we,
Hey guys, we're here in Vilcabamba with the Abundant Living team. To learn more about our next retreat, click the link in the description down below. From our family to yours, welcome to Vilcabamba.